Yeah, hello Rahul. Good evening. How are you
Hi,
doing today?
hi. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good as I was stuck in some traffic here in Bangalore. How
No
is your
problem.
day? Hope it's going well so far.
Yes, I want to get ready for the weekend.
Any plans particularly?
Yeah, few events where I have to take my kid, but that's about it.
Okay, okay. So, we have a great audience over here today, and they're looking forward to hearing a lot from you and get to know your experience and how your journey has been so far. So, let me introduce you to them. And before I would like to do them, can you say hi to our audience over here?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Rahul.
So I think we can get started right away. We have some participants coming in, and I'm sure more will join us. So we are expecting about 150 people. I think
Sure.
it's close of office hours, so they will be joining us as we proceed, and we are recording it and we'll broadcast it to a large set of audience anyways. So first of all, before we start, I would like to thank you for sparing your time of the day with us, with our audience over here, and sharing your nuggets of wisdom. They will appreciate it greatly, and it's going to be a great session, guys. So good evening, everyone. We have with us today AB Rahul. So Rahul brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table. The person we have with us over here is one of repute and comes with a illustrious career built working in institutions such as Walmart Global Tech, Freshworks, and eBay. Over the course of more than a decade, Rahul has demonstrated not only a great focus on driving data-driven decisions, but also great strategy making ability and he has contributed to businesses all over the board and globally as well. So he has played several pivotal roles during his career, and he has refined user experiences across different industries and different domains. And he has delivered impacts in several sectors. And we as an audience today can learn a lot from him, from his career, and how we should navigate ours forward as well. So thank you, Rahul, for joining us and gracing this evening with your presence.
Thanks for your kind words, Akash. Hope this session is useful for the students.
I'm sure it will be. So, Rahul, first of all, can you share a bit about your journey so far into the world of analytics and product management? So the highs and the lows, I'm sure everyone has had experiences that, and I'm sure so have you. And how did you reach the current stage that you are in, and what does it take to be AB Rahul?
Wow, okay. I wouldn't call it what it is to be a Rahul. I wouldn't focus on that part. I think lots of learning to go. But yeah, it would be, I think, a bit of an answer because there are a lot of questions you have clubbed into one. So I'll try my best to cover the aspects. So let's start with how my journey in analytics began. From education, I'm an engineer. And I passed out in the year 2010. This was the time when analytics had just started as a career option in India, maybe less than a decade old, I would say, as a formal profession in India at that point. Most of this, most of analytics professionals were working in a service setup at that point. These would be pure play analytics firms providing analytics services to uh, uh, usually retail, finance, and other domain clients. So that was the setup at that point, which constituted majority of analytics professionals in India. So given that it was less than a decade old, there wasn't much information out there about what analytics is, what does it entail to be an analytics profession, and uh, analogous to that, in fact, I didn't know that what analytics as a career is at that point. So as I was preparing, by the way, I'm from an electronics and communications background. So as I was preparing for my placements, I actually wasn't preparing for analytics specifically. My focus was in the domain where I've done my education. But that year, something unique happened. That a couple of firms came up which put up their job description and role description as something to do with data. And during my primary and school education, I always had a bent for mathematics. So numbers interested me always. So I thought, okay, this seems something different. And I started looking it up. Obviously, even on internet, there wasn't a lot of information or guidance at that point. Uh, so one thing which I learned very early in my career, even in my student life, is the value of mentorship, the value of guidance. And fortunately, I was fortunate to have known few people who had spent about 2 to 3 years in the analytics profession by that point. So I reached out to them. Again, I didn't know them personally, but ended up knowing them personally through some of the interactions. Uh, and this is what I would also guide all the students out there, right, who are willing to start their career in analytics. Be brave. You don't need to hesitate reaching out to people. People will help you. Leaders are out there not only to share their learnings, but also they feel a sense of pride in helping someone build their career. I was fortunate to be associated with a few such folks from the industry who helped guide me, okay, what this career is all about. And that's how I ended up preparing and sitting in some of those interviews. And I got through one of the companies at that point that came to the campus. I started my career with a firm called Dunhamby. It's a pure play analytics firm. Uh, yeah, so that's where I didn't have any formal education at that point. Very different times from today. So I started my career, my learnings through the job. They had a very formal, very structured training process, which helped not only me, but the entire batch of students to get an understanding of what it entails to be an analyst. And that's how I started my journey. Through the journey, a little bit talking about different phases of the journey. I think I would segment it into three parts. I would say the first 3 to 4 years, the middle phase, which was about next 4 to 5 years, and the phase after that, in probably in which I'm navigating at this point. So in the first phase, first 2 to 3 years time, the biggest challenge for me was how do I go about doing an analytics job? I've never been taught in this domain. So that meant a lot of reading, a lot of getting the basics sorted. So that point, I spent a lot of time understanding the basics, technicals, concepts around statistics, data management, and data wrangulation. Uh, and that helped me understand what it will take for me to be able to execute in the best possible way to deliver value in my job as an analyst. A couple of challenges, obviously, it was a first formal setup for me. So just dealing with people, how do you navigate through an organization where things are not very structured or things are not defined, and one has to also carve their own path. There was enough guidance, but then it's not like an education institute where the courses curriculum is defined. There is enough expectation and scope for creativity and deliver value. So how do I go about my job uh, to identify what will create an impact, what will deliver value? At the same time, learning the basics of the job was the key challenge that I navigated, and primarily through mentorship and reading and educating myself on the technical skills. I think that was one of the challenges I had to navigate. One of the highlights from that point was their so they had a couple of competitions that they did to motivate early employees. And that really motivated me to push myself towards gaining technical expertise, which helped me in the later part of my career as well. The other highlight from that point was that was the first time when I was dealing with clients. I never was in a setup before, in a similar setup before that. So having, and it took me a couple of projects to get there, but having an understanding or building a framework of communication with the client to understand what is it that would really create value for the client, which is over and above the original business problem that was given to solve. and then executing and delivering on that promise, and if possible, delivering a bit more than the promise, uh, was another highlight from that phase of my career. So that,
So,
yeah, go ahead. I
yeah,
think that's a question as well. Yeah, please
no,
go ahead.
I was marking a few things that I think all of us can learn from you. One is, first of all, resilience, that you did not shy away from the challenge of being from a different background and then switching into analytics. You took it head on and you dived into it, spent a good deal of time. Self-learning is another quality that you exhibited early on in your career, and that's why uh, you have grown to such a great degree because you had that motivation, the drive in you. And of course, as you mentioned, being brave and having the humility as well as the cognizance to reach out whenever help is needed, and help will be given to those who seek that. I think these are some wonderful things that everyone can learn from and employ in order to be better, even at our current jobs, or for people who are just starting out in their career. They can learn a great deal from it.
Yes, and I think what I would also like to add to that is skills around responsibility and accountability are the major shift that one experiences when one moves from a student to a professional life. Responsibility, accountability is very different as a student, and very different as a professional, because
Absolutely.
it also it has a financial impact on your organization, on your team. So that shift in mindset, how fast someone can adjust to that, really determines your success in the first phase of your career.
Absolutely. Being as professional as possible, as early as possible, will definitely help
Yes,
everyone.
yes.
Yes. So thank you for giving that snapshot of your journey so far in such a succinct way. Now, you mentioned one of your qualities is, and early on in your career, you had to do this extensively as well. So read a lot about data, how to uh, take out insights, staying up to date. How do you still manage to do it with all your experience and your responsibilities that have been thrust upon you in your position? How do you stay updated with the latest trends and advancement in analytics, product management, or in any other field that you're interested in?
Got it. Great question. Uh, I always say one lifetime is not enough to learn solely based on experiences of one person, yourself. One should always try to learn from people around one. So in my current role, obviously the responsibilities have increased and the time I have for personal learning is very different than the time I had for the same, the early stages of my career. But at the same time, I also am in an ecosystem where I'm surrounded by brilliant, sharp people, uh, right? And some of them are fresh out of college. Some of them are uh, more experienced in their career, and each one of them brings a very unique aspect, very unique skills, very unique way of looking at uh, not just data, but looking at work in general. So in my current setup, I try to learn from people around me. The other aspect which has changed over last 10, 15 years is how analytics ecosystem has grown in India. There are dedicated forums. I think Futurense is also doing a great job at building an analytics community, analytics forum.
Thank
There are
you.
many such forums out there in the market. There is a lot of material that is out there in the market based on experiences from other leaders. Over time, the availability of leaders in this domain has also increased. As I had mentioned, when I started my career, there were very few leaders out there. But through this time, a lot of folks have spent enough tenure, enough time, enough experience in this area, and the, there is a huge community of analytics leaders out there. And I think the third sector or segment is uh, key focus or interest groups related to data analytics that one can leverage from. So access to these, in fact, presence of these makes it a bit more easy, a bit more optimal or a bit more efficient to gain and learn from experiences and learn from your ecosystem. The same learning would have taken much more time and effort early on in my career.
So now you have accesses to people who are complementing your knowledge and helping it grow. And I'm sure everyone can always keep their eyes open, their ears open, and learn from peers around them and seniors around them. That's a great source of
Yes, and
knowledge.
Akash, not just me, I think in general, right? Because the community itself has grown over time. There is, in general, better access to and more access to more people who have knowledge, know-how, and can teach and can mentor about this industry. So not just for me, but in general for anybody who wants to start their career or at different phases wants to gain mentorship on how to grow from their current stage to the next stage of the career. The community that can provide guidance has also increased exponentially through the years.
Absolutely. Like we are privileged to have you here today, this evening, to share your knowledge with us. So I'm pretty sure that we have already gotten some valuable nuggets of wisdom. Let me also ask you about an interesting thing. So what have been some motivations and driving factors in your daily work? So we all have days when we are not as motivated as others, when we are feeling a bit down, or when we do not have the greatest of inspiration to work. So how do you navigate through those days? How do you keep your morale high? How do you guide your juniors, your team, and still maintain the quality of work in terms of output?
Sure, as you rightly said, not all days will be same, but one needs to have a vision and purpose in life to move forward. Uh, and I wouldn't say there should be one single purpose of life. There can be multiple purposes. There can be a professional purpose. There can be a personal purpose. So from a professional point of view, so let's take a step back, right? If we were to say why I'm in a career that I'm in, right? I have a purpose and I have a motivation of what analytics is able, what type of impact is analytics able to create uh, in the market, in my organization, for my organization or for my ecosystem, right? And for me, the single or not single, but maybe the biggest motivation is analytics is that one field, one profession that has the power to provide objective insights,
Hmm.
objective uh, drivers, uh, objective analysis, objective guidance that can drive decision making. It
Yes.
is it because everything that we do is with numbers, and numbers don't lie.
Yes.
Uh, but I would still say there is some level of subjectivity where uh, how you want to interpret the numbers. So if you have the right motivation and vision and purpose of what you want to do with data, which is you want to work with data to make lives of your customers better, to make lives of your peers better, to uh, create a positive impact on society and organization. Uh, right. And data and analytics have a unique power to do that extremely objectively. So that motivates me on day-to-day basis, and I also motivate my team using a similar purpose.
Wonderful. That you I haven't heard more beautiful and simpler explanation of what motivation can be drawn from. Also, I think a lot of us over here, especially the people who are starting off their career, can really understand from you. How do you foster the culture of working together, innovation and creativity within your teams? So as a leader, as you mentioned, you guide your team across these difficult days. I'm sure there will be people of different culture, different nativity, different even language barriers working with you. Uh, Everyone is opinionated, everyone has a right way of doing things in their mind. How do you navigate these professional challenges and make sure that at the end of the day, it is the company that is winning collectively? How do you handle these nuances, basically?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. Uh, so let me try to synthesize this into a couple of dimensions. Uh, you're right. You're right. Every person is unique in their own way, and every person would have a different way of working, prioritizing, seeing what is important, what is not so important. At the same time, every person also is very unique in what interests and what doesn't interest uh, them. So in our team, when you're working with a team, the key is to identify and evaluate and map in your team what interests each individual, and understand what are the organizational goals and how is your team tasked to achieve those goals. What is your team's contribution towards that goals? With these three things in place, then the next exercise is to understand what type of role or what type of responsibility would suit each individual based on the kind of activities or the kind of work that motivates individual, and understand how it fits to solve to the key purpose for the team, how it fits into the machinery that the team is, which is helping achieve organizational goals. At the Also, it's not as objective as I explained. This is a simpler way of explaining, but a couple of nuances that come creep in is not every time you are able to fit this one to one. So that's where you also work with the team to understand what are other areas where an individual might be interested in that may fit to a team's organization's purpose, and try to fit the best in the with the constraints of the ecosystem. So that's usually the approach that I follow. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I must compliment you on your way or ability of simplifying things while explaining them. You have captured all the tricky bits, as you mentioned, about working in such setup, but you have dissected it in such a simple and lucid manner, and I must thank you for that. So,
Thank you.
I'm sure many people who are going to move from technical, purely technical to techno managerial role will be benefited by this insight, and they can use this in managing teams of their own, be it small or large. Uh, Now, you have worked with data extensively. You have worked in professional capacity for over a decade with data at this point, done a lot of analysis, driven key decisions. Uh, have you ever used any of these data and analysis techniques in your personal life for any purpose? If you can share a few insights. Have you ever thought of any personal life problems or challenges from a data analysis point of view and how you tackle that?
Yes, yes, that's a interesting question. Yes, I think one of the areas in my personal life where uh, my interest or my professional skills that I've developed on working with data have helped is manage my finances. So uh, whether it is whatever domain, right? So for my financial planning, how should I diversify uh, into various sectors? In each sector, uh, and I'm not just talking about let's say virtual investments. It could be physical and virtual.
Right.
But like how should I look at this entire frame? What framework should I evaluate this in? Whether if it is a physical asset, what is the framework that I should apply? How I should collect data for it, and how I should build a personal logic, personal algorithm for ranking. I think that has helped me with my financial investments. So yeah, that is one area in my in my personal side where I've been able to use my professional skills.
That is quite smart indeed, and I'm sure we can also learn to start to do that. It'll help my savings as well, particularly speaking. So that was a great example again that you shared. So in order to be a good data analyst and to use skills like the ones you mentioned, what, in your opinion, are some of the most critical skills that are needed in a person? Now, I'm not talking particularly from a technical point of view. I'm sure people know what skills or tools to learn, or they have a broader idea. But from your perspective and with your experience, what do you look for in a person in terms of their qualities or traits that you think would make for a good data analyst?
Got it. Yeah. So again, I'm a frameworks guy. So I'll again try to put this in some sort of a framework to simplify. I look at three dimensions, or I would actually, sorry, I would actually guide students or anybody in the analytics industry or who wants to aspire to be successful in an analytics profession to focus on three dimensions. The first one is very obvious, technical. I think that you have already talked about. The second dimension is behavioral. I'll talk about it. And the third dimension is interpersonal. So in an analytics profession, for one to be successful, I think, and I'll put it in a pyramid structure, right? Technical skills make the foundation for your pyramid. Without that, one cannot uh, look to succeed. They are the basics, the
Absolutely. Yeah.
foundations, and irrespective of whatever stage one is in your career, be it early stages, mid stages, leadership, you need to be very strong in your technical foundation, not only for your own work, but also to be able to provide the right guidance, mentorship to your team.
Right. Yes.
There are various different paths in an analytics career, and the technicals required for different paths would also vary, would
Yeah.
also become nuanced as you grow in that path. Not going too much into depth further than this, let me come to the
Understood.
behavioral part. Right now, behavioral part, what I mean by behavioral part is uh, how do you want to operate in a professional setup to be successful, to have a successful analytics career. Couple of behaviors that one should be focusing on. One, curiosity. Uh, to be a successful analyst, you should also be always be questioning why, what, when, how. Uh, Questioning, challenging your stakeholders, challenging, questioning your peers will help you gain more and more clarity, more and more understanding of the problems, the projects that you're working on, which will help you build a very optimal, efficient, and impactful, relevant solution to the problem that you're working on. The third aspect, sorry, go ahead. I think you have a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to probe a bit deeper about it.
Sure.
So when it comes to questioning, and that again ties to being brave, especially people who are starting out are afraid that they might be annoying their seniors or might be asking too many questions. Because, and obviously so, people who are at the higher levels of management, they have lesser time to spare. So can you give any small tip of how do they effectively filter out the right questions? Let's say they come up with 10 things that they have a doubt in. How do they club together maybe some questions, or they filter in the questions into fewer ones, and they put it across formally so that they get an appropriate response, because all the time people will not be having the bandwidth to connect with them. So how do they get the answers to their questions?
Perfect. It also ties to the third element, which is interpersonal skills. But before jumping there, let me answer this question first. Uh, so, in an organizational setup, being brave, being curious, asking questions doesn't always mean asking questions uh, to people. You can also ask questions to the system. So,
Okay.
what I mean by that, let me elaborate. In an organizational setup, usually there is a lot of documentation that is already available. This documentation could be documentation that the organization has set up, documentation based on prior projects, prior experiences, prior deliverables that have been built by other uh, employees, other peers, and documentation around uh, guidelines, company
Okay.
policies and guidelines. So, questioning, you're right in saying that yes, uh, not everybody would have similar amount of time to answer all the questions, but then uh, going to people is probably not the first step in all the cases. Right? Whenever possible, one should first focus on leveraging the material that is already available with the organization
Right.
in different forms. Try to get answers to your questions from these sources. But what I'm recommending everyone to focus on is have that skill or have that rigor to question. Right? That was the behavior part. And where you question, that depends. Like I said, like I mentioned, there are many sources that are out there within the organizational setup, and you also have market sources, right? You can also do your own
Right.
research.
Yes. Yes.
So first, focus on these sources that are out there, and try to synthesize your questions. Try to prioritize your questions
So,
basis, and
yeah.
then go to respective people with a filtered set of questions.
Absolutely. I also agree with you in this regard. Even I have seen in our organization, people always appreciate when others come with some background research or groundwork of their own. That I have tried this X, Y, and Z, and yet I was not able to solve this problem. So can you help me further on this? So I think such an effort is always appreciated a bit more rather than I'm stuck here and just tell me what to do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rahul. That's a wonderful
And
advice. Yes,
with
please.
this pivoting into the third aspect, right? I
Yes,
just
yes.
want to touch on that before we
Yeah,
move on.
yeah.
The interpersonal skills. In most organizations, not just in analytics, but in most roles in today's organizations, the roles are interconnected, which means part of uh, the teams or the people that you work with, you have ability to uh, you have an authority to influence.
Right.
But a major part of your peer group with whom you will work, you will also have to influence and partner without having true authority. So developing the right interpersonal skills, particularly the skill of influencing or having the capability to or ability to influence in the right manner without having authority, is one key skill that I will recommend everyone to focus on and develop. And
Yeah,
this comes with experience. This comes with, as I said, experience doesn't necessarily mean your own experience. You can also learn this from others' experience. So when one is in this situation, take guidance on, okay, how do I go about influencing someone, right? And that's the third dimension to this.
very key point. I mean, it's less heard of, but I think one of the most crucial things that is important in a corporate setup. What are some of your tips? And this is also me asking to you personally in expanding your sphere of influence in a positive way.
Sure. I think you automatically are in that setup, and you are able to succeed when you are able to create impact. So, and how do you create impact? You create impact by understanding what is it that will drive, let's say, a project initiative uh, or a problem that you're working on, and uh, having answers that are moving the solution forward. So that's usually one approach or one area where I recommend my team also to focus on, to be able to influence a wider or to be able to expand your range of influence or influence uh, your peer group who
Mhm.
you would not have the direct authority to, have the right reasons, have the right framework. And when you put things in a way which makes it meaningful, reasonable, you will be in that space. And you will also gain respect from your peers to operate in that way.
Yes, keyword respect. So you have to gain the respect of the ones surrounding you, and you also have to put in the hard work, quite simply, to get to that position.
Yeah.
Thank you for that insight. Actually, that's a less heard of, but very, very important, crucial points. I think the audience can also take note about
Just
it.
to add to that, Akash, I think one of the other key aspects is you win together, right?
Yes,
You win by making everyone around you win with you. So yeah, that's I think that is almost self-explanatory on how you can go about thinking of building interpersonal skills.
yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That was a wonderful answer overall, Rahul. Thank you for that. Now, many people here are directly also interested to know if they are interviewed by Rahul someday, how would they get selected? So what do you look for in a candidate when you are when you are interviewing them for maybe a junior to intermediate data analyst kind of position? Uh, Now you can also elaborate on the technical skills that you're looking for in them, what needs to be strong, intermediate, and also what are some final prints that you would personally take note, and also veterans in the industry, of course, by extension would also take note.
Sure. I think, as I said, technical skills is must, right? Uh, for me, what I look for when I'm looking to hiring, or when I'm looking at or when I'm evaluating talent in general, I think technical foundation is must. So that is something that is one of the skills I evaluate for. Now, as I said, there are multiple career paths in analytics. The technical skills required for different career paths are also different. Let's say uh, for a role that focuses more on, let's say, visualization, uh, the BI skills, technical BI skills, just as example, right? Let's say someone who is focusing on storyboarding, analysis, technical skills that enable them to do that efficiently, that would be the focus, and so on. There are many, many career paths available. The other aspect is the aptitude. Although technical skills is important, but at the same time, there are enough resources out there to build technical skills of a person if they have the ability and they have the passion and readiness to learn. So
Right.
the technical skills is something that I evaluate, but along with it, let's say if I have to make a choice between, let's say, talent who would be similar with technical skills, uh, I would rate someone who is eagerness to learn, over someone with lesser eagerness to learn. So that's on the technical part. The second aspect is aptitude. When I say aptitude, it means your analytics thought process, your problem solving thought process, how you are able to dissect a problem, how you are able to put it into multiple steps, and your ability to think through a solution. A lot of times during evaluation, uh, candidates would be given a problem which most likely they would not have worked on. Right? So how do they creatively dissect the problem into smaller steps, and how they, through their own experiences or through logical thought process, are able to put together solutions or steps of solutions for each of the smaller sections of the problem. That's probably the other skill that I look at. And the third aspect is people skills. Be it an individual contributor or a people leader, at any role, uh, people have to work with other people. So I do evaluate, or I do ask examples, instances of situations where someone has had to work with other people in difficult situations, in easy situations. What were their approaches? Some anecdotal examples of how they went about that situation, and so on. So these are probably the 3, 4 key aspects that I would look at talent.
So, a well-rounded professional with very strong foundations in their respective technical domain is what would sum up this person essentially.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, what are some, looking ahead now, what are some skills that you think in analytics particularly, especially we are living in the world of AI, we hear this word every day, some new technology come out, Devin, for example, recently, there is ChatGPT, of course, part and parcel of our life. How do you see the world of analytics changing with all of these, or all of this flurry of tools, AI-driven solutions coming in? How are the job roles, the landscape of data analytics affected in general?
Sure. The technologies will keep coming. In fact, we have also grown through these technologies in our career, and there will be new innovations that will keep coming. The fo- the I think the key is to not deter from your primary purpose and focus. which is why you are doing analytics. It is to create impact and drive objective decision making in the organization, right? The newer technologies are additional tools or are amazing tools that enable you to achieve that purpose in a faster, efficient manner. Now, let me convert this into a much more simpler explanation. What this means is, let's say, GenAI is one of the focus areas or one of the buzzwords today. Now, one should focus on understanding how GenAI can help one to do their job much more efficiently, do their job better. Right, in the space of data and analytics, there are multiple types of use cases that GenAI can solve. There are multiple repetitive tasks which would in traditional setup take many hours to do, could be automated, could be driven much faster through GenAI. So one should focus on learning those skills to be able to leverage these new technologies to do some of the mundane, repetitive tasks faster, which frees up their bandwidth, their time to focus on more complex problems. And that's how we as humans have evolved through the history of time, right? Not just GenAI, but if you look at history of mankind, right, that's what has happened. At every stage, we develop new technologies, which helped us be a bit more efficient on some of the repetitive tasks and opened us up for solving for more complex problems. When we solved it opened us up for next level of complex problems. And that's how I see the new developments in technology and how to embrace them.
So it's all a new tool in the arsenal more than a point of worry, in your opinion.
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is no replacement for human creativity and ingenuity. Also, I feel that we are just going to solve bigger and better problems with with the help of these tools. So now, finally, for you personally, what are your aspirations and goals for the future of your career? I mean, you are already quite well accomplished, but what do you see as the next step, next big problem that you're going to solve personally in your career?
Sure. I think, see, learning is never over. And I'm still learning. So is everyone. One should. So for me, that is one dimension that I'm always looking forward to. My goal is to be able to keep learning. I think that is one of the areas that I keep seeking. That to be in an ecosystem, to be in a setup where I am surrounded by peers who are equal or better than me, so I can keep learning from them. I think the other aspect for me is there are a lot of things that I have learned through my mistakes, through my experience. I drive deep passion in mentorship and guiding talent. I have a strong passion for the field of analytics, data and analytics. And I feel extremely happy when I'm able to guide somebody through the same journey who share the similar passion and guide them through navigate through the data analytics career. So particularly in this space, what I'm seeking or what I'm looking for over the next couple of years is being able to develop future leaders in the field of data and analytics.
Mentorship or career?
Mentorship, guidance, and what I mean by being able to is not just in terms of being able to carve out time, but also be in a position, be in a ecosystem that provides me opportunity to do that. Because
To groom younger people.
Yes, because that really makes me happy when I see someone whom I have provided guidance and succeed in life. Yeah.
That's a wonderful delight in itself. So being a trainer or teacher myself, I know that joys of seeing your people succeed and people who you guide succeed. So and also a fun fact, I had started in one of the early projects of my career. I had worked with Walmart South America in their store project. So developing the software for that runs in the system billing counters. So I worked in the project, and I liked the work culture at Walmart, how they let you have your free hand at the same time. Deadlines are important, but they do let you have your free thoughts and freedom of expression and your opinions on softwares. So now I understand, having spoken to you with people like you at the helm of affairs, why that is the case. And I'm sure you will be creating more impact and driving more wonderful things, not only in the field of AI and analytics and data, but as you move along in the broader field of tech. And all my best wishes are with you, and I'm sure the audience and the participants also agree, and they've learned a lot. So, guys, if there are any questions, you can raise your hands or ask in the chats for Rahul to answer.
Until the questions come in, Akash, very grateful, thankful to have me here. And as I said, I find immense joy in guiding, mentoring talent, and thanks for providing me an opportunity to do that.
Absolutely, the pleasure is all ours. And personally, you have mentored and guided me as well in this evening, and I go out of this conversation a more knowledgeable person. And,
Likewise, Akash. Yeah.
and thank you for that. So, any final words, Rahul, for the participants? Any words of advice for the people over here?
Yes, I think I would again focus on being curious and question. I think that is being have the courage to be curious and have the courage to question. When I say courage, it doesn't mean always question people. There are a lot of things, a lot of systems around you from where you can question and get answers. But don't lose that skill or don't lose that rigor to question, get answers, be impatient. I mean, have that curiosity and maintain that curiosity. That will really help you learn at a much faster pace than otherwise.
Absolutely. So, guys, stay curious and question everything. That's the takeaway from this evening. Thank you, Rahul, for making this evening lovely and spending your time with us again. I hope to interact with you sometime soon again, and have a very happy weekend.
Thank you. Same to you. And hope students also gain from this session. Thank you.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank you
Rahul.
so much.
Thank you, Akash.